Something like that. So the light hits the wall and bounces into things that are facing it. See, like this. Like this. Same idea. That's called reflected light. We don't really get to play with reflected light too much in this class because you don't see it like this. Now, do I see that much reflected light in the actual photograph? No. But do I know it's there? I know it's there. And I'm just exaggerating it to show off what it could be. And I'll do that oftentimes on the side of a tree, or often, I was just looking at this California Impressionist painting the other day by Percy Gray. Because we remember when we were, one of my classes, we were painting a Monterey pine. And I was looking at this piece because I just happened to go across it. It's not only the best painting I've ever seen of a Monterey pine, but it's the best photograph. I mean, I don't know. It's the best way of looking at a Monterey pine I've ever seen. Absolutely, just the way it was lit. But it's something you can't really do with a camera. This artist, was just a master of light. And the staging of the light and shadow and the composition, it's just a phenomenal piece of work. And I just couldn't get over how well that thing was lit. Almost for sure, he did most of it out of his head. But it's so good that you wouldn't know. I'm just gonna put some shadows on all these columns over here. And I'll soften those edges too. The wet brush. And here's the thing about reflected lights, like I put in these ones. I don't know if you'd see them at that range because they're pretty far away. Maybe the foreground one you'd see a little bit of reflected light in, but I'm gonna take a wet brush. Oops. Just a wet brush here and soften that edge. So I say a damp brush, not really wet. Because you guys all know the difference between wet and wet, right? What's that? Even if I were standing right next to you showing you, it would still be hard to show you how much water to have on the brush.
Look till done.
What was that? There's something.
Cook till done. People who are good cooks just say cook till done.
Cook till done, yeah. Cook till done. How do you know when it's done? It's a little dark. Now the reason this shadow in here is a little bit darker than these shadows because not as much light's getting up in it. Now we got these little shadows here. And then there's a little bit of a shadow underneath, and that shadow underneath the arch is pretty important. Really separates it from the other side. Oops, got a little bit thick with it there. Although I don't think that matters that much. Because it could be that way. Yeah. That's what I say. Okay. Over here. So this arch will actually cast a little bit of a shadow way off into the background. You can see a little bit of something. A little bit of something there. We're getting a few little cast shadows over and around the arch, this column. I'm just gonna leave a little strip of light on that column back there. For fun. See all the little nubbies and little things you can get away with? You don't have to be perfect on the ruins.
Hey, Rob, I missed when you transitioned from the magenta and blue to whatever color you're using now. Is that a Prussian blue that you're using now?
No, it's just, you know what, it's the same color. I just don't have as much magenta in it.
Okay, so it's my marine.
Yeah, it's just ultramarine, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't say anything because it's not really crucial. It's, again, this is one of those things too, where if you get the value right, you should be fine. Should be fine. Now there's that arch. There's this little arch. There's this archway back here. I'm getting my arches on in here. This arch back here, the little shadow in it, shouldn't be quite as dark as these. So what I can do is just put that down and maybe dab it a little bit. That's probably pretty good. But if you'll notice, if you'll look at you're getting a little bit of a shadow on the far side of it too. See, just a touch. Those little things can help bring it out. I look at really great painters that painted ruins. All kinds of great painters did. And you get up into it, they're pretty darn loose. They look tight from far away though. They can be pretty darn loose. Depending on who you're looking at. You look at like Canaleo or something, they're all going to be perfect. But if you look at like Zambordi, there's some really, really great painters of these ruins. You see how these big decisions don't make such a big difference. That's why it's important to get your big shots in there quickly. Big shots up there. Still got a lot of shadow. Throw a few little pieces of shadow on there. And the shadows go all the way down the little hill there. Maybe down here too. Background thing. And clean up on some of those little cracks. See? You see how random I am with it? I don't tag every little crack. A little bit of a shadow there. That's this little slab sticking out there, so those are fun. I'm gonna break things up. With a little smaller cast shadows in the background here. Might get a little shadow being cast onto the wall there a touch. And maybe, oh yeah, we got this one. Maybe. And maybe a little, notice a few little cracks. They're everywhere. Yes. Before I get too carried away with the shadow. Let's put some of those green, well, let's actually put the yellow on the architecture first. Got a lot of yellow in it. And if you notice, the yellow really isn't so much on the left side. I do have some pencil lines here. I'm just gonna kind of erase those up a little bit. That's fine. And remember, I put most of my yellow. That's pretty yellow. Whoops. Whoops. Yeah, that's why there's paper. Okay, something not so yellow. Red, yellow, and blue. Red, yellow, and blue, and a whole lot of yellow. Putting these in there. Do something yellow in the background to really pull out the value of this little column right here. Notice how I'm not really getting very detailed with this column at all. Probably don't need to. Now, what's really working for me actually is, watch, I'm gonna throw a little yellow on this wall right here, and then I'm gonna dab it. Wow, that really worked. Just leave it all imperfect like that. That was a really good way to do this. I'm the kind of person that just does what works. Watch, I'll do the same thing here. Watch, I'll throw this down. It's too dark, and it's all sort of monochromatic. Now I'm just gonna get with my rag here a little bit and give it the sort of modulation I wanted. Is that the word? Modulation. Too. That it will dry lighter. Maybe occasionally give it a nice shot of yellow once in a while, just kind of like that. That's a really good way to handle all this. I mean, it is. You thought we'd be here all day. Look how fast this is going. Okay. And that yellow on the marble went really fast. That's all I'm going to do for now. What you don't want to do is sweat out details at this point. We're just laying. We haven't even put in our green yet. And I'm going to. Wow, this demo is going to go all day, isn't it? Well, we'll just do what we have to. Okay. You know, if the crits go on really long, you guys, just feel free to bail. I mean, you'll have the recording. We'll just see. I know a lot of people won't be all finished, and that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce some light greens. Roughly, just nice and rough. Some of these might be. And I just made them out of Prussian blue, cad yellow, and a very little bit of red. I know the greens in the background, for those of you who are wondering, will be grayer. So what I'll do is I'll come back up into the foreground and really zap some yellows and greens up into the. And I'm painting this right over my shadows because a lot of these shadows that are on the ground over here are shadows that are right over the grass. That's the way I'm handling it. I just painted the green right over the shadow.
How do you do the
What?
How do you do the critiques? How do we get the paintings to you?
Oh, just mail them to me.
Okay,
Yeah, just take a picture and email it to me.
mine's done.
You can go ahead and mail that to me. Try to, if you haven't done it before, take a picture in a couple of different ways. So it comes, so I don't have to rotate it because I can't rotate it.
Yeah, it seems like it's upright.
Okay.
Oh,
I know you're fast.
I think I'm done.
I know a few of you are pretty,
I'm done too.
okay, good. Wow. So this thing's looking hemmed up. I need some darks. So now I'm gonna come in with some of that red stuff in the shadows. Kind of an orangey red. And I'm just gonna dry brush it in there like this. That. It'll be darker. Any orangey red will do. I'm using magenta and yellow. Why magenta? Because magenta is my blue red. Cad yellow will be fine. Magenta is a little bit darker red. There we go. And notice very horizontal brush strokes here because it's a flat surface. I'm just gonna, I notice it kind of brushes up against things over here too. And I like to take some of these things right out into the light. It really makes it feel like light going in the shadow right there. One little trick to that is as it goes into shadow, watch this. Pop it a little bit dark right there, right as it goes into shadow. See, it goes light, shadow. You really want to get that feeling of it getting a little bit lighter out into the light. I'll do it here too. But remember to mute. I'll mute you. Just remember to mute, okay? Okay, Chicky? Who's Chicky? Is that Charlene? It's okay. All right. Right, and we get this same thing on the steps. See, look what that does. Really richens the whole thing up. And all this stuff on the steps will be kind of, I should do it drier. This stuff will be very horizontal too. I'm putting my strokes on very horizontal. Notice it even grows up, this, it gets darker in the shadow way over here. Like moss on the wall or something too. Great little excuse for color right there. If you want to, take little darks here and there and just tag them around. Just not being really, absolutely perfect along this edge. Just get a couple of cracks. Could be a little darker. Especially under things. And any value, any color will do when you're putting these little darks in here. A dark red will do, a dark blue. I would use your own sensibilities and just decide which color will work. Remember, as long as the value is right, you'll be fine. I'll put a couple of splits in here. You see how I got a little crooked on that one? I think that looks great for ruins. Sometimes I'll make a little accident like that and I'll go, hey, I need more of that action going on. Put a really dark in there. Some Prussian blue in there. Give this little void. Things like that. Just kind of touching and going. And some of these. Now these cracks are going to get lighter as they get further away. So maybe start them dark up here. You've got a little. Let's see if this is dark enough. Start a few of these little darks up here, and I wouldn't get all. You see how sporadic I am with it? It's a little too dark that way. So I don't hit them everywhere, but here is one little trick. Take the dark like here, what? See what's in it? But you take it right out into the light. See that? Right back into the dark there. Okay. That really, I'll make it a little bit lighter out into the light. That really gives you the feeling of light and shadow. Notice how much attention I give to things coming in and out of the light and shadow. I've just noticed over the years that it really gives a sense of light and shadow. Oh, jeepers. Because I couldn't come up with a better word. So. Movies. Just lighter back here. You know, back here you probably don't have very much. You just wonder how many people who walk on this road here. Every little stone is worn down, and man, people will be walking on that in another 1,000 years. Made everything so good. Just tag little darks, especially under things, like underneath things. That's where you really want to hit your darks. Underneath. Cracks in there. Just feels a little dark. And you can define this as much as you like. But I mean, look how much just those big washes, there really isn't a whole lot of detail in here, right? It's just, you know, it feels like there is. I can show you little tricks. One little trick is any plane that's facing this wall is probably going to catch a little bit of yellow. So I might take like these steps right here and just hit a little bit of yellow in there. A little bit of a glow. I don't know if you can even see that. I'll hit a little harder. It's lemon yellow I'm using. But either yellow will be just fine. See, because they're facing this wall, they're going to catch a little bit of something. You could even take that idea and just hit it on anything that's facing this wall. So like I already did on these, right? The columns. You know, you could even argue you could hit a little bit of a line right there on the edge. Why not? Give that a try. Any excuse to throw in color and make sure the color has a bit of logic to it. It doesn't have to have tons of logic. You certainly could go, you know, a really intuitive painter might have lines everywhere going on and all different kinds of colors. So I'll let you be whatever artist you want to be. And then, because there could be a little grass bouncing up into these little reflective lights. You know, the light could hit the ground here and bounce up into the shadow up on the wall here, and you could get a little bit of something yellowy orange or something. I think I can throw a little yellowy orange in there. That got pretty opaque because I used the lemon yellow. And the lemon yellow is a little bit on the opaque side, and I happen to know that. So I throw it in with my reflected lights. Some watercolors are a little opaque. And then you could knock yourself out doing all kinds of little things. There's little oranges on there. The rest is nuance from here on out. I'm seeing beautiful little oranges here and there. You could just kind of dust it around. So on something like a column, your strongest color will be right in the middle, in the light. That's called a halftone. And so the left will be the highlight. Then they'll go into halftone, then the light shadow, then into your deeper part of the shadow. And in this case, I hit a strong reflected light in there. And let the watercolor get all oozy with it. Again, you have the complementary blend of logic, logic and science. So we have the perspective, and we got light, and that's a lot very scientific. And then we've got, wonderful oozy watercolor giving us little bloom marks, glazing. There's some dry brushing here. Here I go salivating again, just thinking about it. He needs a couple of little darks in the shadows, right in here. It's getting pretty dark on that red stuff. I'm gonna hit that in a little bit redder. Accents. Maybe in here too, just a little bit more. some of these lines too. You can keep doing this. If you'll notice though, for such a sort of complicated thing, I used one big giant wash to take out the whole shadow right down here. And one big thing in the sky, some green in the middle tones, and that was about all she drew. Didn't need a lot more. I'm gonna throw oops, some real yellow right up here in the foreground on my green. Go with the lemon yellow. Try to make those come forward a little bit more. And from here on out, it's just nuances. Certainly could go into some of the shadows of the clouds. You know, let's get those in. And now is, you know, any kind of detail you want, like moss. There's little, you know, there's lichen and moss that grows on these things. Whatever you like. I don't see a lot, but yeah, I definitely see some on this. You're definitely getting growth on the marble there. It's all kind of fun. Usually when I'm out taking photographs, I'm always obsessed with lichen and little rock formations and things like that. I don't necessarily paint those, but sure like observing them. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sorry, people. Okay, people. What about it? Yeah, for those of you that are new, I usually take a break and I come back and do the crit. But there's not going to be much break today. So, you know, anyway, at this point, I might come back and strengthen up things like, you know, clean things up, straighten things up. Anything you need. I guess I didn't make as big of a deal out of my little cap over here as I could have. That's just fine. I could come back here and get some background. You could take white into your clouds if you like. You could get something sort of back there. Another straight line becomes very attracting. Anytime you have a diagonal with a hard edge, a lot of contrast like this too, they really attract the eyes. So what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit of something lighter along the edge. See, it's not as dark and light, it's sort of a dark medium and light, almost as if it's kind of blended the edge a little bit. Not, I don't do those things until the end usually. And again, I did the whole thing with good old Henry's brush. Henry's basically the same brush. Yeah, I have two of them here. I just got Henry's brushes and they're terrific.
Thank you, George.
No,
Thank
huh?
you.
Yes, I have them and they are, that's why you can paint so much,
Yeah,
so fast, because you just load it. And I had a problem at first because it keeps, it's uploaded so much, I constantly had too much water. I
wow.
had to adjust to really not use so much water because it holds it so well. So,
Yeah.
But once you get the hang of it,
Yeah. So I have a lot of good luck with this particular brush on this scale. I could definitely go bigger though, but it's a good brush. And then I'm going to use Henry's
Still.
Henry Carvey the seal here. So I wet the page there, it's damp. Get that on there. How about that too? Hopefully I can showcase it right here on this light spot.
Just press really hard with your weight, your body weight. You could.
Okay. Part of it going into the light, part of it going into the shadow. I don't know if I got that whole area wet. I hope I did. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can sign under, sign your signature under it.
That is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
It's just like the seal of approval. I love it. Makes me feel official.
Yeah.
You too. Henry makes these things. He's one of the only people that make these. He actually carves this with his own hands.
Yeah, I had video showing the process of carving.
No, right. Yeah, I saw that video. He's got a video on YouTube, you guys. You should check it. Anyway.
Robert, does your seal say something?
Yeah, it's the translation of his Chinese name. Last name Xie. Actually, the first name is Xie Li'er, but because the pronunciation of Xie is the initial of last name, so it's translated as the Chinese family name, which means to be thankful or to thank.
Okay.
Yeah, then they are great gratitude, and Li is mileage, or just the man's name, just like a man, you know. So
It's got the translation.
it,
It gives you the translation of your name too.
it's a phonetic translation. You can put your name on Google Translate, it will do it for you. That's how.
Okay. I guess I signed my name pretty big there, didn't I?
That matches the
Big,
seal.
bold signature.
Good job. That really matches the balance.
Yeah.
Give him a big foot on that L.
It's really good addition to
Nice,
saying it.
nice balance.
You gotta sign that painting like you mean it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You gotta give it some.
Rob, what time are we gonna do critiquing? I sent you mine already, so.
You
Right
can
now.
start critiquing maybe as soon as you.
Okay, perfect.
Right now.
Okay, great.
I figured I'd just take it till the end because, you know, might as well.
Yeah.
Rob, what's your cutoff for when you want these in by? You want them in now?
Well, if you're listening to it and you want to send it in later, just make sure you get it in by the end, you know. Don't wait till the very end. How about how about like 12:30, no, how about 12:45 to 1? How about
Okay, all right.
that gives you a little more working time while everybody else is in there. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's get over here, and I got a whole bunch of people. Hey, Lynn, number 1. Did you give me 3, Lynn? Right. I don't think that's part of it. Oh, she can't make it today. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, Charlene. Oh, let me screen share you here. This is going to be a big recording, you guys. I'm now with the recording of today. I don't know if they'll even let me put it on there because it's going to be so big. They might just automatically send it to my computer because if it gets too big, they can't carry it on the cloud, so they just send it to my computer. And then I'll put it up on YouTube. So either way, you'll get it. Okay? If you don't know what I mean, don't worry about it. I'll send it. Okay, now. Up there. I do have a lot of crits to get through here, so I will zoom it up here a little bit. Okay. And I think I'll do it in red so you can see. Wow, now that feels, can you guys all see this? You can
Yeah.
unmute yourself.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, that would now almost feels like he's walking uphill, and that's totally okay. You know, again, you know, Charlene has a really loose attitude toward the whole thing, and it's fine. It's all fine. I'm not going to get clinical with you and say, well, actually, the perspective would be right here. You did not do that right. No, it's not necessary. This is more of what I would just call a feeling piece. It's interesting how people work. Some people operate off the sort of clinical, analytical side of the brain, and other people are a little bit more on the intuitive, even though there is a lot of structure here. A little more. I would say though, for me, you see how this whole thing isn't this basically all this is kind of centered. It's not totally in the center, but it's kind of in the center-ish. So for me, I might have wanted to take that either over here, or take the golden arches here, or maybe over here. But then that would have ruined this, right? This is a nice little area in the back. So I could have seen you maybe pulling this over in this direction a little bit more. Okay. That's just fine though. Now, and then the other thing is that so the whole painting comes down to almost this yellowy color and sort of like a bluish color. So I would have liked a little more variation. So it's not a difficult thing. What I would do is add a little more variation to your shadows. Something in the red family, just a little more. I can see how you did get redder in here, and maybe I'm not seeing it very well, but I would probably get a little bit more reds in there, possibly something a little bit more on the yellow side in there. That's a little light, but you know what I mean? Just a little variation in your lights and shadows, I mean, in your shadows there. And then for your light too, I might get, you've definitely got enough yellows and goldy colors in there. So maybe occasionally, maybe shoot a little bit of green in there once in a while. That's what I was using the vegetation to give it a little bit of light. I noticed in the photograph, all of the vegetation looks kind of almost the same color as the rocks. That's why I went ahead and made it a little bit green. So think about that. I would throw in a little more vegetation here and there, like in here, in there. You know, I've seen it where the vegetation is growing right up the top and right down the side. I mean, you know, do whatever you like. So anyway, that's pretty cool. I like your darks. You know what's really working for you too? You got these cracks in the light here. You got the cracks in the light here. And then you got the cracks much darker in the shadow here. So it feels like light and shadow. I think I might come back and like this area is just fine. I would use that kind of stuff. A couple more darkies in this area, you know, a couple more. You see these little darks in the light, the little cracks in there. A couple more, maybe a little bit darker, like especially in little crevices and things like that. Just kind of search around, see where you might get little notches, little accents. You know, up in here, they won't be as dark back here, but a little more division. Okay. Okie dokie. You, Charlotte. Or is this Charlene? I'm sorry.
Charlene. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And Charlotte. So you're working upright, huh?
Yes.
See that's why you see how she gets all the little drips. I mean, and that could be a plus or that could be a minus. It just depends on your outlook on things. I like this look. If you look at, you know, the famous artist Charles Reed, who did all of these watercolor books and did workshops, he gets this look all over the place too, because when you work upright, the paint will spill down and it'll puddle up in there. So
I knew him quite well. He passed
you knew
away.
him? You actually knew him?
I knew him from a long time ago when he first started teaching, and he just passed away a year ago.
Well,
He was a drippy painter.
yeah, he was a Yeah, so anyway, all right, so yeah, we have, a lot of your lines are going, yeah. That's good enough perspective. Feels like 1 point. And now this is taking this is what I would call this painting high saturation, high contrast. You see how she's got a lot of really dark darks and light lights, plus the lights in her painting are very saturated in yellow. And the shadows, look at this, red, yellow, blue. I mean, you didn't pull any punches with that. Look at that. Red, yellow, blue. Very, lots of saturation.
The painting kind of started to go its own way.
Yeah,
Away from the picture.
yeah. That's fine with me. Oh, well, that's when the art part starts. You know, I always find these artists that they just copy, and they do a superb job. Some of them they're literally engineers, and they copy everything to the nth degree perfectly. And you know, my hat's off to them. They're really engineering like this. They'll never get any of this stuff in there. They just don't get any of the creativity in there because they aren't willing to get creative with it. And you can have both. So this is a good example of just getting really creative and drippy, seeing all the drips, all the washes here, all of them. I don't see much bloom. Are you working on a pretty stiff paper, like a hot press? Or?
No, I'm working on 90 pounds.
90 pound.
It's just 90-pound watercolor paper.
Yeah. Okay. This is looking good. I could see, and one thing that'll make the shadows feel a little bit more shadow-like. You see this little dark you have there? A couple more of those, you know, here and there. A couple more of those, and then a few of them going, you know, horizontal as well. Will make it feel a little bit more shadowy.
I wanted the focal point to be in that
Right
under
here.
arch, and this red on the other side kind of distracts, but I just left it like that. The red on the left kind of distracts from the center area there.
Yeah, it doesn't distract that much though. You have enough contrast in here where it works. So
It was fun.
yeah.
I had a
Well,
very
wonderful.
good time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we got the Vendy. Wow, Vendy, calligraphic marks everywhere. Cool. Did you scratch those in there, or did you use a pen, or what did you do? Hello. Is Vendy not there? Okay. Do I have you muted? Oh boy. Maybe she wasn't able to stay. That's fine. I'll just critique this now. So interesting. So, you know, most people will use a pen, like a positive black, let's say, for instance, and let's say they'll come back and draw into things and define things, you know, more with the pen, bring things out. This would be called a positive line, what I'm doing right here. They're kind of coming back and you see a lot of artists traveling to do that kind of thing. That's a positive line. What she's doing is a negative line. I call that a negative line. It's coming back into it with, you know, something white. And she may have even drawn this in there with like the tip of her the dripper thing that goes into the mask void or whatever. There's that. And then painted right over it and then lifted that up later and exposed this negative line. That's an interesting look. Another way to define things. I really love it. That's.
What do you think she used for that?
Now some people are actually using a white pen nowadays and coming back and drawing back into it with a white pen. I think she might have mentioned she did that. So that's a cool look. So there's many different ways to get that look. But I would say, you know, we have a lot of horizontal here. I might want a couple of more lines going to the vanishing point. They don't have to be perfectly straight like this. They could be kind of broken, like, you know, kind of that kind of thing. They'll take you on that trip, you know, back in space a little bit more. I think that would help. These lines right here are working just fine. So you're getting the feeling of going back in space. But a couple more of these might work. And let's see. I like the strong yellows in the foreground and the grass and grayer back here. That works. Let's see. That's about it. Yeah, I love that negative line quality. That's great. I like how you shot this up on the wall. That's great. Shadows going up on the wall. Those still look great. What I like to do is take this light down here. So it really feels, instead of starting the light right here, instead of starting the light right here on the wall, I'll shoot the light on the ground a little bit more. So it really feels like we've got, you know, light on the ground going up the wall. You really want to get that feeling of it like stepping up like from the ground up onto the wall. That's something I pay attention to, things like that. It helps. And I learned that by looking at great paintings in museums. Artists, it's an old trick. You want the line usually to go, if you're using it to define the surface, which is kind of the way I was using it, I'll take it from the ground up onto the wall. Okay. And Luis. Luis, are you there? Did you have to leave early?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, it's Louise. As
Louise,
in,
I'm sorry. Louise. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce it.
Oh, say it again, Louise.
Yeah, I go by Louisa as my.
Oh, Louisa. Oh, okay.
It's easier to pronounce, yeah.
Louisa.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay. On the other hand, maybe let me make this a little bigger. So these are all going to a vanishing point over there, about right there. See, they're all going to that vanishing point. And these should be going to that vanishing point too.
So that's what I had a hard time. That, you know, I asked you that question, and it looks so wrong to do the line to the right this way.
Isn't it? It feels, I know, perspective can really make it, you might think to yourself, gosh.
Yeah.
So
I should
honestly,
make-
that's, so, let's see now. So what I would do would, now you'd be surprised what you can get away with in here. So forget about, you know, all it is a couple, you just need a couple of these vertical lines you put in here, these ones.
Yeah.
Just kind of scrub them out a little bit. Get them out with a stiffer brush, okay? And then come back with a couple little dark edges. Let me see. This one. You come back with a couple of dark ones. You know, occasionally, because you're going to meet someone in there. So a couple of those here and there. My lines are obviously really fat and dark, so the more they go toward this vanishing point, like right here.
Okay.
It
And
actually
it's-
more slanted than when I was doing it. That is tricky.
Yeah, so it would work still because the ground is all brick-like, etc. So it would work.
It'll work. Yeah, it'll work. Don't worry about it. You can scrub this and beat this paper up a little bit in here. It'll work. That's an
Okay,
easy save, really. Just
Great.
tag a couple of little lines in here that are a little more slanted. going toward this vanishing point approximately there.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Great-
Yeah,
Great suggestion.
yeah. So it's just this because this feels like it's on the slope. And it could be, but if it were on a slope, then I'd have another perspective problem for you. Which we don't want another one. It's an easy fix, easy fix. Okay. Now what you did here, see how you have the light on the ground and you have it coming, the shadow coming up onto. That's what I was talking about before. You want it coming, so that's really defining the plane of the wall. And what I might do is hit something dark at the base of the wall there.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hit mine strong enough. I probably could have hit mine stronger, but yeah, that could also help to tell the story of how these lines. Actually, wow, it's more like that, isn't it? Ooh. That's right there. It would be like that. Wow. So
Yeah.
so look, did you use a ruler right here?
Yes.
You can use a ruler. Just go ahead and use a ruler right over here.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Yes.
It's not a. The only reason I'm talking about this is because it's easy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now let's see. Even your foliage right here will have a little bit of shadow on the right-hand side. And I shot a couple of little cast shadows down the like a column is casting a shadow down the slope of the hill. So those will be fun if you like to do it. I see you put the typical Italian cypresses back there. Those
Yeah,
are beautiful.
yeah. I just did that at the end. I didn't put any shadow on it. They could
Yeah.
be
Do some of those.
extended a little bit. Yeah.
I could even see you having a little tree top maybe in here or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Those are great. They totally work with the architecture. So, all right. And oh, by the way, you see the way you divided up the shadow with some of these really nice rough little marks of red. I would think in terms of moss and lichen and things being on this. You could hit a couple of shots of mossy things on there, and I would get a little bit darker with your shadows.
Okay.
We could use another glaze, and it's perfectly fine to do that in watercolor because you can always darken it. So yeah, I would make those not nearly as dark as these black lines I made here, but maybe not as dark as this, but not as light as this. Maybe just a little bit darker than that.
Okay.
A little bit darker.
Thank you.
Maybe about this value right here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Daryl. Really feel the feeling of light and shadow on that right away. You went and got pretty dark with those shadows, and that really worked. That certainly could happen, no question about it. Oh yeah. And no, his perspective isn't absolutely flawlessly perfect, but you see, in general, most of these lines will meet somewhere. They'll meet somewhere in space, and that's pretty good. That works. So these usually will start flattening out as you get toward the top. That's just fun. I don't want to make this too much of a perspective lesson, but I guess it is. So. And so, right. See how we have a hard edge here on the column? And I tried softening mine, and I also tried using a couple of I call them stepping values. So I'll step it from the shadow to the mid-tone to the light, to the hard light right there on the side. This is working, but it is feeling kind of a hard edge still, kind of like, so I could see it maybe softening this edge and this edge a little bit more, just a little bit more. So they feel rounder. That's just a little bit more. I could even see in mine, I'm looking at mine, and I could certainly soften mine too. See what else. Yeah, again, some different colors of You know, some little reds, and think of moss and lichen and things like that that could be growing on it, you know, all over. I'm seeing greens and things like that. I'm being awfully brilliant with the color there, but I mean, that's the idea. I like how you spilled the red into the blue, because if you didn't have that red in there, I think it would just be very monochromatic in your shadows. So I could see a little bit more, this might be a little bright, a little bit of something in the yellow side in there, here and there. From the yellow to orange family. You know, in the yellow to orange family. I might, you know, let that dry, throw down a little water first, and then throw down a very soft, warm, kind of yellowy to orange glaze in places, not everywhere, just here and there. Just dab it there, and then just let the watercolor do the work. And that'll break up the monochromaticness of this shadow. It's not bad though. It's not a bad shadow. I think it could be helped. Also, just a little trick to it, like I did. You want to hit a little bit of reflected light on these steps. Maybe not that bright, but maybe the wall is being reflected into these steps here. That's supposed to be an arrow. A linear arrow there. And so it could happen. Maybe, you know, maybe you could have a little bit of might even be a little reflected light here into this shadow there. You can even see some, definitely might be some in here. So if you like, those are some good places to break up your shadows. That's all. It just needs to be, it's a small thing. I like how loose you are on this thing though. You just went to town on this painting. And I could see a little more greenery too. That's why I put the green in there, just to kind of break up this painting can get a very, very much on the yellowy orange to blue, violet. They call warm light, cool shadow. So sometimes a little green in there kind of breaks it up. You know what Louise did by throwing in those trees in the background, I think was a good idea too. If I'd have had my thinking cap on, maybe I would have tried that now. Yeah. Okay, well done. Beautiful color. Where are we? There's Alice. There you go, Alice. All right. See, now these lines aren't all perfect, but they're converging. See, they're not perfect, but these lines are going to go somewhere, and they're all going to meet in space somewhere, you know, around. And so maybe I would have flattened these out a little bit more, but as long as they're converging, they're good. It's hard not to make them feel like they're going uphill. And you know what? It's actually possible. It's very probable and possible that it could have been going uphill and then over, and then maybe even down the other side. It's possible. So you don't have to do, you know, everything actually perfectly how it is. But there's a small thing. So you have nice greens back here in the background. These greens. So because they feel like far away greens, I would really get some yellow in your greens here in the foreground. Even some of these mossy things like this one's really nice. Get a little more yellow in it, you'll get a little more depth out.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe, maybe a little more red. A little more red in your dead stuff down here on the ground. That'll help. Because we're looking for a little more saturation up here in the foreground. You have plenty of unsaturated stuff way out in the background. If you could hit any more, you have plenty of saturation in your blues. So a couple of reds and maybe a couple of oranges.
Okay.
Down into here. Oranges, reds, in these areas. And that'll bring us more up into the foreground. You'll get a little more depth out.
Yeah, okay.
Looking for a little bit more shadow, right in here.
Yeah.
It's just there, that's fine. You got plenty here. I would keep this exactly like it is, don't change that, but make this one a little bit darker than that. That way it'll come forward.
Okay.
You made this one over here nice and light, so that feels far away. A little shadow.
Yeah.
So you get to 1, 2, 3. If this is the 3 is coming forward, if this one is just a little bit darker, I think you got it.
Okay.
And then one minor thing, if you want to, you could tag a little bit of reflected light into the shadows there, just a touch, and maybe a little bit up in here.
Okay.
Remember, not as bright as I'm making it
Yeah, yeah,
though.
yeah.
Those are just good places to hit color. They bring things on, you know, they're little accents, little places to put accent. It's really not a whole lot wrong with this piece, just, you know, a couple of accents here and there might help. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shelly, wow. You went for the other one. Are you there? Let's see.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi. Let's see.
This is teeny tiny. I mean, it's only like 3 feet, 3 inches by 5 inches.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to control.
There. Yeah, nice for a small piece. Wow. Whoa, that got really big on us. Okay. Well, wow, you get away with watercolor. You don't do a lot of watercolor, and you're really good at it. And you're not even using good paper, are you?
No.
You know, I only see one little problem with this piece, and it's not a real big problem. I called it a little problem. Let's see. So very easily, see how the 2 trees are identical?
Yeah.
Or I'd make them just a little less identical, that's all. Maybe take one a little bit off or something, you know.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's, you guys see how she's using the darks back here to set off these lights here? These dark trees in the background are really working well to set these off. Now, I'm glad you increased the blue in them back there. They are a little contrasty to be that far away, but I mean, it certainly could happen. That was a pretty contrasty piece of the photograph. If you like, if you come down in some of the dark little crevices, little places where there might not be a lot of light,
Mm-hmm.
be a good place to really smack some darks. Little nooks and crannies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll make this come forward a little bit more. Now, how do you feel about throwing a little shadow? I mean, I know you changed the light on this a little bit, and I like it. The top of this was in light,
Yeah.
and the bottom was in shadow. What do you think about throwing a little bit of shadow across the bottom? Totally up to you, but it works the way it is. But
Yeah. Those columns were the thing that attracted me actually to the photos. But where I have the light to me works better in that back corner. Probably.
this works really well.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
area. So I wish I would, if I were to do this like a full size thing, I
Yeah,
would capture that kind of light over there.
yeah, yep. Yeah, I would increase the saturation of this without changing the value. Just increase a little bit of saturation in here,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit of shading. If you like, really soft edge too. I would keep the edges really soft. So it feels like maybe something far away is casting a bit of a shadow. You know, give that faint light. Small things, but you know, huge impact. And then I occasionally like to get a little bit of saturation here and there, like you did on this. This is very nice. little pieces of saturation here. You know, oftentimes the saturation happens along cast shadow edges too, like that. But the little places to hit them. So, I mean, besides that, you got a winner there. Whoa, you do a big one off this. I'd love to see it. That little comp is working really strong on its own. Really strong. That makes me want to do that painting. I might do that painting.
I love those umbrella signs. They're too cool.
These?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you know, it just reminds me so much of Rome. And
Yeah.
it's the greatest thing. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Okay. And Edie. All right.
I wish I had left it. My pencil drawing, I was so proud of.
Did you take a picture of it?
Nope,
Oh,
I
okay.
should have, and I knew I shouldn't have painted, but I tried it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm so sad.
Well-
This was really complicated for me.
Well,
No, that's all right.
you got to do them. You know, you got to do these paintings. You got to get through them, and then you'll find you.
move on.
You just,
But
that's the thing with painting. You got to do these kinds of paintings, and then you'll see how to break them down and make them simple. But there's the point. Like, oh my gosh, I remember when I first started. I decided to get into landscape painting, and I went to Eden Canyon, and I thought, you know, I've been painting the figure for so long. This landscape painting's got to be so much easier. Boy, was I wrong. I fell right on my face. I just took a big old gigantic, you know, piece of humble pie and slapped it down my throat.
right.
Humiliating. No,
But the win was, I thought the drawing was beautiful. It was so good. I should have just stuck with that and done the shadows
well,
like yesterday.
all right. Well, let's talk about it. Okay.
Ugh.
Let's see. Now, I can see a couple of shadows. You know, if you're gonna put this arch in front of here, then I think I would see like a shadow there, possibly. Shadow kind of coming down there with really soft edges. Soft edges. You might have some shadows back there. I'm just trying to break up some of this area. I could see a shadow being cast across here like this. You know,
Sure.
Your bushes will have shadows on the right-hand side. Maybe darker than that.
Yeah, I didn't even start shadows.
So then, you know, you got all these going up to this point, right? So maybe a couple of these going to that point over there, just a couple of little here and there lines. No big
Yeah.
deal. They'll give you a little bit of convergence.
Okay.
And now right here, your lights and your shadows are almost the same value.
Yeah.
So then I think it needs another glaze of some shadow value.
Okay.
I would just come in some of these a little darker, maybe that value. Some of these, just haven't got to them yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of those. And, you know, you can take your drawing and just make it darker.
Mm-hmm.
You can paint over it, you know, just use the lines. I can see the lines in there. So you got them in there already. So
Oh, I did. Yeah. I
can see
actually took ink and I went over it.
Yeah.
I don't
And then like I've said to a couple of other people, you have a very kind of red violet shadow. So then I could see taking a little bit more blue into it here and there. What you do is
Okay.
you just wet the whole thing down first, throw in a little bit of blue here and there, and maybe throw in a little bit of like as if the wall is reflecting light into it. You could throw in just little touches of yellowy to yellowy orange in there.
Okay.
And in the water, if if you keep it nice and wet, the water will give you really soft edges. So it'll just feel like light. Just feel like light's influencing it. That's
Great.
mainly
Good
I just
idea.
do it to break up the color. That's
Okay,
okay. Thank you.
thanks.
Let's go. Is this sideways? Yeah.
No, this I painted this way,
Oh, you did?
and it's supposed to be this way. I just did imagination. It's a building of imagination of having the form or wings on the facade.
Right.
So it's a modern building.
Right. Okay. Let me see here. I mean, well, in that case, it's got your feeling to it. Oh, you never miss that. I'm gonna use red here just because it'll really stand out. Okay, so you see how we come up to here with the cloud and it stops. Occasionally, I'd like to see a cloud go right behind.
Yes.
Right behind. Just so you get a little bit more feeling of it. Yeah, that's an abstract principle.
Yeah.
So, just take something from behind and bring it all the way through. Let's say, will help you. I mean, well, it'll just give you more feeling of depth. What you have is not bad at all. It really reminds me of a Greco. Greco type of sky.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of color.
Originally, my first thinking is to make a sky really flat,
Yeah.
almost like a fake poster-like sky, because the building is kind of jazzy. But as I went, I changed it. What do you think of just a flat blue with a cloud, like a fake like a sky?
Well, I like your sky.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the sky. Sure, I like it like it is.
Okay.
Yeah, the only problem it's not really a big problem. I'm just making the suggestion is possibly taking a little bit of white, here and there, all the way behind something.
Actually, Rob, I had one of the crowd like that because I remember you kept saying this. So I remember that, but then because the column is a light color,
Yeah. Blended. Right.
I made it like a blue on one side.
Yeah.
So I changed it, I think.
You were doing what was right for the painting, and that's what mattered. That's what matters. Okay, well, nice work. What do you think about hitting a little more saturation in the color?
More saturation.
Here and there. I mean, what do you think? Not necessary or anything, but a little bit of a little bit here and there. I like how you come in with this red. That's nice.
Yes, I'm just at the last moment I chickened out. I didn't want to change the atmosphere,
Yeah, that's fine.
but maybe orangish color would work.
Here and there. Okay, beautiful. Wow, nice abstract. I mean, it almost feels like reflections down here. A little bit. I don't know why I'm getting that feeling. All right, it's got a beautiful feeling to it. Love it. And it totally works with your other work. Gosh, you need to have a show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Because you've got all this, you've got this body of work that all works together. You work it all in the same technique.
I think you let me do Plein. That helps. Sometimes when I caught up, like, oh, I have to do it well, then it's strange. But
Well, there's different ideas of what well is, or what good is, and
right.
one really modern idea is having a whole body of work that really works together. You can see it's very congruent and works together as a unit. You put 30 pieces up on the wall and they all work together. You can tell they were done by the same person. That is not easy to do.
Right.
Not easy at all. And that's something I'm trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's something we should all strive for. But to get your own style is just not easy. So hats off to you. Nice work.
Yeah, I should do more vertical wings.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Betsy, here we go. All right, so you're definitely getting that feeling of convergence. That's what it means when all your lines kind of meet in an area, converging to an area. And let's see, I'll use red. Yeah, maybe some of these darks are a little dark, but they're working, and that's what matters. Because you certainly could have stuff being piled up in there. I think I would take a blue. And you weren't having this feel like light, were you? Right?
No,
So I think it should be a little darker.
okay,
So I would just take some blue, just so it feels a little more like shadow.
Yeah.
Blue and maybe this violet too. I love that. Just like I said to everyone else, a lot of other people, I could see that, you know, this color of the light hitting the wall over here and bouncing back into your shadow. So you occasionally would get a little hints of that.
mhm,
So as you throw in this color,
uh-huh,
this big blue wash, by the way, this right here looks like shadow. So I wouldn't really add much more color to that. What I would do is lay down all your water first, just a nice big giant wash of water, and then come back with your blue and mostly hit the blue in here. And then as you're hitting, let's say you threw the water all over here too, maybe throw in just little touches of warmth here and there. Just a little bit. And you might even want to throw a little bit of that warmth into here too. Maybe even some of these. Because see, they're facing the wall, right?
mhm.
And they might catch a little bit of reflected light. Here might be a good areas to throw in some color. Just so you get a little more zap out of your color. That's all. I might make your greens a little more yellowy green up here in the foreground. Keep them nice and gray in the background. That way you'll get a little more depth out of the color.
Mhm.
And I can see your shadows on these. Shadows on here could be a little darker on these. Not really, really dark, but a little bit dark. All these guys. And let's see. I like how you brought this up on the wall. Nice. Sometimes, if you want to, sometimes what I'll do is I'll shoot a little shadow down here. So all this is in shadow.
Mhm.
And then climb it up on this wall over here and shoot it back down. You know, the shadows can do many different things. So I could even see a little shadow over here. Just giving you that feeling of late day.
Uh-huh.
I could even see things over here. That's getting a little crazy now, but I am a little crazy. Here, a little in there. I'll let you be the judge of all that, but these are just suggestions.
Uh-huh.
And then possibly a little bit more saturation into your yellowy oranges things on your columns here and in your wall here too. I noticed it's quite saturated up here in the foreground. So take a look at those.
Okay.
Small glaze. Most of these corrections are just 30-second corrections, you know, really. Small little accents. All right.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we've got Ethel. Hey, boy, you got gouache with me. Your little gouache here in the foreground, huh?
No,
No?
no, it's just horrible paper.
Oh,
It was horrible, horrible paper.
what were you working on?
It's called Fluid 100. Just
I
so
thought you were
that
gonna,
it just
Oh.
repels the paint.
you know what? Okay, you guys, this is the last time I ever hear that again. I am so, what's the word? Irritated with that paper. Everybody who uses that fluid paper because it's a little bit cheaper has the worst time with it. Don't buy that stuff, you guys. It's called fluid. I've seen it in Dick Flick stores. Don't buy it. It's junk. You'd have a much better time buying Canson's junky paper, whatever that is. I mean, I have better time with that. That fluid paper gives everybody a hard time.
It's horrible. I was going to use mineral paper, and then I thought, oh no, not with this subject, but I might as well have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a mineral paper?
No, but it acts like it.
Oh, I see.
Well, okay. Well, now you know. I mean, because
Oh, I know.
I've seen your paintings many, many times, and
Yeah,
this painting, this paper isn't working for you as well as your other one.
it isn't.
What is? But you did get gouache on there, right?
No,
No.
nothing.
It's interesting. It's got a strange quality to it.
Yeah, it certainly does. I'll tell
You
you.
know, my first quick reaction was like here in the foreground, like right up in here. It almost looks like you used it Photoshop or something in there because the statements are so.
Yeah, it looks digital, huh?
Yeah, it almost looks digital.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
wow.
has a really smooth look
I did
or
that.
something. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I did.
yeah.
I just kind of went in real dark with a little line. Yeah.
Now, just so you know, sometimes, maybe not in this case, but sometimes you'll find those bad things, like you really have a hard time with the paper, and then you finally work it out and you get something going on and you're like, wow, now I've got a unique look on this horrible paper. What do I do? So in other words, you could actually even get something good going on a junky paper.
Yeah.
That doesn't usually happen with me though. So I would say you learned something about this paper. Anyway, so
Yep.
yeah, compositionally, you got a pretty nice looking composition here. Right, yeah, you're fighting the paper down here. And looks like your light's got a little dark on you. Wow, that stuff just dry dark on you? Because
Oh no, I went in a little darker because it looked a little black.
yeah. So then the darker you make the lights to get the shadows to work, the darker you have to make the shadows. So you know what? If you want to work on this anymore, I might actually come in with some darker shadows and really get this thing, maybe even darker than that.
Yeah. I was thinking I would try that. I'm like, what? I don't have anything to lose.
Yeah, you don't have anything to lose. That's a nice thing. That's actually, you don't know how many times I've said that myself. I've been in the middle of a painting, go, well, this painting isn't my best. It's not my best work. So, but I really want to take this chance. So why not? I don't have anything to lose. So
Yeah, you can experiment.
yeah, you could
That's
experiment.
a good idea.
In fact, you could even take in yourself some gouache,
Yeah, I might have to.
Yeah.
some gouache if you like. Maybe come back in with some.
Probably work better with gouache.
Well, if you wanted to experiment with gouache, you've got a good land. So, I don't know.
To do
Think
that.
about it. Just needs a little more contrast. That's all.
Yeah.
The paper was, the sizing in that paper, I don't know what it is, but I tried using it too, and I didn't have good luck with it either.
It's awful, yeah.
If someone gave me a piece, and I said, I just threw it out. Okay, Very nice.
Right, thank you.
I mean, nice land. You could easily accent that thing with some block.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, hey. Here we go. Down to the wire here. So, I might actually take some of this shadow up onto the wall a little bit more. So it's coming up to the base of the wall. Maybe what I would do is just take it up onto the wall a little bit. Here and there.
Yeah, the whole right stuff is extraordinarily flat. So I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things I like to do is take shadows and use them to describe surfaces. So a flat bottom here and going up onto the wall there. Those can work. Those are kind of fun. I might even drop, you got a little vegetation here. I might drop a little bit of a shadow like underneath it, just to give it a touch of depth there. Like as if this is casting a shadow right down in here, maybe possibly.
Yeah. Okay.
And get this shadow going down there. Just crisp that edge a touch. Although it does feel like a really nice soft edge shadow, so I'll, whatever you like. Then I go a little stronger with these shadows, a little stronger.
Okay.
And then I would soften this edge right here.
And I couldn't come up with the right green color for the columns. It was like weird.
Yeah, I know. You take red, yellow, and blue, and you add a whole bunch of yellow to it. So you're really making kind of a yellow ochre, really.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have yellow ochre, just use that. just cheat. Just go ahead and cheat and use that.
All right.
Now, you have all this green over here, and I like that. I'm wondering, and I didn't do it myself, but I'm wondering if you shot a couple of tree-ish type things up here in the background.
Yeah, I didn't have any background, and it was all really flat on that side. It wasn't from the perspective either, but at least.
Your perspective is fine. Your perspective is fine. It's not, look, not. Use green here. Red. These are fine. This is going pretty good. That's good.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a dot, right where you're putting it, right under that. Okay, well, at least it was supposed to be there. Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's it. It's fine.
All right.
They don't have to be perfect, When you're freehanding, everybody understands that, and they don't have to be perfect with it. Just generally, as long as it's generally pretty good. A lot of times when I'm freehanding, my perspective is way off, and it doesn't look good. Right?
All right.
It can be off by quite a bit. Yours isn't even off by very much at all, and I wouldn't want you to get a ruler in there.
Okay, and then on the values, I'm always in the same value, even with different colors. So I'm trying to pay attention to that. I think that's what I'm doing wrong, right? They're all about the same value. No?
A lot of the columns are the same value. What I was talking about was a little stronger shadows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Give them some definition in there. Yeah.
okay.
That's looking pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Monica. Hey. I like the line work.
Thank you.
And see now these all kind of feel like they're going to a point down here.
Yeah, I think they were. That's not it though, is it?
These feel like they're kind of going more over there.
Yeah, okay.
So the thing is, you kind of want them all going to the same. And it's not bad. You know what I would do?
Repaint it.
No, just take a few of these lines. It's not very hard. might help. And you know, I've seen them where they, you know, because it's ruins, it could be that way. Now, the ground looks like it's round here, and that's just fine too, because that could be that way, you know. But if you did want to make those corrections, I would just take these lines up to there, a little more, just a little bit more.
Okay. I was really frustrated that the pillars looked more like smokestacks than these great stone things. It looked more like a factory than a ruin.
Yeah. Now, when they break off, I mean, if you want it to be like a ruin, you might have to actually put a couple of these little capital things on there.
Okay, yeah.
Go like that. I can't draw very well with this thing. So if you wanted to make it, now they do break off just like this. So by the way, my feeling was they look just fine.
Okay.
So, but with your line work, you know, you're drawing back into things. If you wanted to, you could give a couple of them, you know, just sort of, you know, that kind of thing.
What's that?
Like on the top there,
I see where you are. Yeah.
just give them a couple of tops.
Oh, that's a good idea.
If you wanted to explain itself a little bit more as being,
Yeah.
because you know, really they're just big poles. You know, I mean, who knows what they are? I think most people understand with all these arches and all this, they're probably called, and they're probably not smokestacks.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe they had smokestacks.
It would surprise me. You know, they were having their own
Right?
industrial.
I mean, really, maybe those are smokestacks.
You know, Rome was having an industrial revolution. Right
There.
at the time it fell. If you didn't know that, it was,
Yeah, they're amazing.
and if that would have
Aqueducts and
happened,
all that.
that would have happened. Who knows? Technology could actually be
Yeah.
1,000 years ahead of where it is today.
Yeah.
But you know,
amazing.
it fell. So who knows? So anyway, maybe some stronger shadows.
Yeah.
The sides there.
Sounds good.
Um,
How would I flatten out that rounded area in front of the big arch?
Now, the rounded area. Oh, this.
Yes, that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just flatten out the shadow a little bit more. Somewhere in there. Yeah. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really feel that round or anything, but they're small things. But I like your line work. I like how you're coming back and defining things with the line work. So feel free to define things more if you like. Play
Okay.
around with it. Love this area. Love all that organic line work. Really works.
Thank you.
All right. All
I
right.
sent a second picture, if you had time, of one of the other shots that I worked on yesterday.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
If you have time.
You know, you must have sent it later. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Meaning, let me just something now. Oh, somebody here is asking me if I'm teaching the plein air at the Huntington Library. You're reading my email. Hey. Okay. All right. Hey George, are you there? Okay, no big deal. I think George had to step out.
Thanks, Robert, by the way.
What was that?
I
Oh,
just,
just thank you.
There we go.
all right, no, I'm here.
There's George. All right.
It
Okay.
drove me crazy.
Did it?
Yes,
You know what you're doing here? It's coming back with the line work. Really, is helping to solve the thing, don't you think?
yes.
It looks like that's the way you're solving it. I would do more. Now, see how your line is heavy here up in the foreground, kind of heavy?
Well, I lost all my pencil line work when my shadow was too dark, purple.
Yeah, it'll do that. It'll do that.
Yeah,
So keep it nice and heavy up here in the foreground. Then as you get to the background, try not to make these lines as heavy as the ones in the foreground, and it'll feel a little bit further away. That's an old trick. So
Yeah.
if you want to, just define this with like a thinner line. You know, back there.
Yeah.
You can get a little bit of definition there, and it won't feel like it's in the foreground. It's interesting. So by playing the lines up harder and thicker in the foreground, and then gradually getting them lighter and thinner in the background, again, you get the feeling of yeah. Yeah. This is great right here. This one, the way you have a nice heavy line on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Now the other way to define those a little bit is just to come back in with your shadows, like in here, and that'll give it some more definition by making the background a little bit lighter around. I'm sorry, the background a little bit darker. It makes the lights of the columns feel a little bit lighter.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, just need a little contrast.
Right.
That's almost always when we're trying to solve things with line, what we're looking for is contrast. So, just a little contrast.
Okay.
Other than that, I think it looks great. I could see a little bit more of this golden color in your shadows here and there, just here and there. So if you wanted to, you could lay a little glaze of water down there, let that dry up a little bit, and then throw something a little bit warm, you know, the yellowies and the oranges. Orangey family. Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane. Hey, Diane. Very nice. Yeah, nice perspective.
Thank you for that perspective.
Yeah. Today was almost a lesson in
Brush up.
perspective.
That was really really good. I think my painting's a little tilted, but when I took the picture, but
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, you guys, you see what you did in the shadow here? See how she threw in the orange, yellowy orange in there? That's what I'm talking about. So you had to do that wet into wet. So way to do that over what you already have. For you people that still need to glaze down your shadow a little bit, is just put down water, throw in your blue glaze, and then throw in a little bit of yellow in like she did right here. That gives you that feeling. Now, what do you think, Diane, about taking a little bit more glaze over all this?
yeah, I should. It was I was putting down those right before I took the picture. I was trying to put down those cobblestone, the dark lines,
Yeah.
and then when I put those down, it made that whole shadowy area look so light. And I wanted to glaze over that, but then it would have my lines weren't dry yet.
Yeah.
So I just went, oh, I'm gonna just take the picture. Send it in. So okay,
I would
I
suggest
should do that.
maybe the same colors you're using right here.
Okay, okay,
You already have the right colors. Just maybe a little bit deeper value. might help.
okay,
And then-
okay.
and these edges on these edges,
Uh-huh.
I would soften these edges a little bit because
Okay.
they are cast shadow edges, but they're really far away. they're-
Okay.
So like this edge right here, I would keep this sharp
Okay.
because it's really close to whatever's casting it. So I would also keep this edge sharp.
Got it.
From something far away. So then I would just soften those edges a
Okay.
little bit. So when you put down the shadow here, just take a little bit over the edge. You'll get a nice little.
Okay.
You'll be able to soften it.
Okay. I'll try.
And then let's see.
I have a lot of smokestacks too.
Yeah. So what you did on the top of these is, if you wanted to, you could maybe chisel back into these a little bit. You know,
Okay.
take out your chisel and your hammer and get to work on these. So yeah, not a big deal. And if you wanted to soften this edge too, as it goes into light, you know. And see how you did it right here with the soft edge? You have the yellow going in. I would do that on all of these.
Okay. Yeah, I've got more.
Again, a little bit more, line work into these if you like.
Okay.
This wall over here on the side. I mean, really small things. This is a nice piece.
Oh, thanks.
That's really-
This was this was quite a challenge, but it's not something I would have chosen myself because it's just so hard. But I'm glad you chose this for us.
Well, wait, weren't you the one that suggested maybe I do some urban things?
Yeah,
That gets its way too. So
that's
just so
true.
you know, using a little perspective in your work, you shouldn't shy away from it. You should just attack it. And there's a lot of paintings you got to do.
Mhm.
You're not going to nail the first one perfect on the first try. You might, but you'll be getting lucky. Okay, 'cause I know I sure did. You got to do a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you know what I would suggest everybody do is a lot of these. I don't know if you can see it, but a lot. Our little studies. A lot of little studies. A lot of those.
Okay.
Instead of full-blown paintings. A lot of little studies, and then do a full-blown painting.
Okay. Good advice always. Thank you.
Daniel. Hey. You there, my friend?
That night.
Daniel.
Ooh.
You
Oh boy.
did another frame. You did another nice one. Wow.
Nice.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Look at that.
See, now maybe architecture is your thing. I don't know. I've never even seen you do a piece of architecture. This is pretty darn good.
I played with architecture before. This was the fastest I've ever drawn something like this and then painted it. Ever.
See,
There's a lot of paint around me.
see the lines, you guys? See how they all?
Yeah.
This is all just 1 point perspective. It's just 1 point. They're all going, and then he took it out to here too. These are going to go down to that point too. All of them do. And these two. Once you realize everything goes to all your lines that are going away from you, like down here, they're all vanishing to the same point. Once you realize that, it's not so difficult anymore. But the thing, that's not the thing that I think is really making this work. What I think is really making it work are the way you're treating your shadows. Now I love this descriptive shadow. See how it described the terrain down here? See it, you guys?
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice. The color of your shadow is beautiful. Beautiful. Are you using that beautiful cobalt blue that I love so much?
That is a magenta.
Oh, is that magenta? Oh.
There's a magenta in there. There's a whole lot of stuff in there. I'm just dumping it till I got a color I like.
Yeah. I hear you. I think you used that cobalt in there. You didn't even know it because I'm just joking. So anyway, but this reflected light right here is just perfect. Perfect. They're just gorgeous. I see it. You got it up in here too. I kind of wish you would have got a little bit more of that yellow up into this. And then sometimes you'll even get that yellow. You'll get that yellow back in here. Reflected light in here. So we'll see. I don't know if you got those shadows. I don't know if those
Oh, I
shadows.
was thinking, moving too fast.
Yeah, I know. We were going fast today. They won't all be that hard, you guys, but I gotta throw a hard one at you. I can't treat you like babies all the time. Look what you did. You all, I mean, you gotta jump in head first and dive in and they won't all be this challenging though, but anyway. Anyway, this has got a lot of nice stuff going. And this shadow you put over the whole thing, this big shadow, all this. That's great. Great colors and values. Because a cast shadow can be this light when it's way out in the open like that. All kinds of skylight is influencing the shadow. It's all coming in from the top and influencing the shadow. That's why the light shadow is so light out here and so dark in here. You capture those values very nicely, and I have to say, I'm just really impressed. Do you think that some of these here would be casting shadows across your road here?
Yeah, but not the picture. I was just, I was trying to capture and not get too detailed.
Yeah.
Did you see my, you haven't noted my wash.
Your wash?
Wash.
Your gouache. Oh, you hit a little gouache up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't really care though. I mean, now were you trying to get that to stand out because it was too much the same value as the background?
No, I painted over it.
Oh, you painted that over, huh? Oh, just,
Yeah.
just to give it a little capital on the top there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to ask you to never take my class again, please. Never.
Oh,
That's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Absolutely. I would, yeah, that's the way I would use it. That's the way you use wash. Typically in a watercolor, you just if you need to make a correction, then make that. But I don't usually use the wash until later on. And I've taken watercolor as far as I can take. Then I'll come back with things like that. That's the way I think that just works fine. All right.
Excellent, Daniel.
Yeah, nice work. Nice work, Daniel. I love the ruts in the road too. Those are great. The descriptive shadow is really great. Okay, let's see.